good timers. We are here in Bucksport, Maine, and this is Maine's most haunted town. We're gonna show you all the haunted places here in a few minutes, but first of all, we're gonna show you this iconic roadside diner here in Maine. Crosbys has been around for 75 years in the Bucksport area, so we're gonna give it a try. This will be our first time trying it, and then we'll tell you what we think, and then we'll be off to find some haunted stuff here in Bucksport. So as you can see, guys, they do have some outdoor seating here. The menu for itself is very heavy on, of course, seafood, because we are near the Maine coast once again. But Simone and I don't eat seafood, so of course we are going to try some fresh hamburgers here. So supposedly some fresh ground meat. I got mine a double bacon cheeseburger, and Simone just got the basic. But we also got a side of onion rings, and their onion rings are homemade, so I'm looking forward to trying those here in just a couple minutes. All right, guys, Simone's got the goods. Special delivery. I'll give her a tip later. Gonna be a big one. There, let's check this out, guys. Oh yeah, those onion rings look real nice. Bacon cheeseburger. I asked for mayonnaise on mine, so we got some loaded up mayonnaise there. That bacon doesn't look good. Doesn't look done enough for Simone, but it's perfect for me.
I'm glad I didn't get
She likes it crispy. I like them nice and soft.
Likes its bacon jiggly.
That's right. But yeah, food looks good. Simone got the basic burger, but I think she got some other stuff on top of it. Some cheese and onions. Yeah, some raw onions. It's all you.
I know.
So there we go, guys. We'll give this a try, especially those onion rings. Those look darn good. All right, guys. Simone's going to do the taste test on the onion rings here, because I've been told that Simone doesn't talk enough in our vlogs, but I don't let her talk. Apparently I talk too much, but we're going to let her talk right now. She's going to give us the honest opinion on the fresh onion rings. Don't forget, guys, this place has been in business for 75 years, so they should be darn good.
They're very good. Light, crispy.
All right.
A nice portion of fried to onion. Breaded.
Yep, those are very good. Taste the onion, not too much though. Taste the breading, nice and light, like you said. Yep.
And it doesn't taste, you know, like some places they have, they got their own fryer. You can tell they're not frying seafood in there.
No.
It doesn't taste seafoody. Sometimes you get something that's like a French fry or an onion ring that tastes
That's
like
right.
seafood.
There's no scallops mixed in with the onion rings, so that's good. So first of all, mine is a double bacon cheeseburger. A little bit more messy than Simone's. We're gonna try not to get it on my white shirt. I didn't plan that very well, but
Every time.
loaded up with mayonnaise also.
Really shouldn't allow you to have a white shirt. Right, it's a good burger.
Very good burger, guys. Done perfect. It is a little well done, but I like them well done too, so that's good. There's actually 2 layers of bacon there, so even better. So you got bacon on top, and you got bacon in the middle of the 2 patties. Cheese on both patties. Just enough mayonnaise for me. I like some hot mayonnaise. So after lunch here, their first stop on our haunted tour of Bucksport, which is, once again, Maine's most haunted town, starts right here at the gravestone of Jonathan Buck. And that is right, Jonathan Buck was the person that founded Bucksport. Go figure. Now, Jonathan Buck had a mistress.
Hey now.
Hey now, that's right. Unfortunately, things didn't work out with that mistress, and apparently he killed her. That's right, he killed her and then he dismembered her, actually. Because of that, when Jonathan Buck himself died, he was cursed. And so you will see a foot and a leg on his gravestone. Rumor has it that is the leg of the woman he killed, his mistress. So his gravestone actually has been rebuilt 4 times. All 4 times the mysterious foot and leg have reappeared. So if you want to talk about a cursed graveyard and a cursed gravestone, I think Jonathan Buck is definitely a good example of that. All right, guys, and here is a plaque that has the story of this memorial written right on it. So basically it says this monument was erected in the memory of Colonel Jonathan Buck. It goes on to say, sometime after its placement, the outline of a leg appeared on the monument. Making their appearance as well were the stories which became legendary. The variations of the story are many, but common elements include Colonel Buck's condemnation of a woman who may or may not have been his mistress for witchcraft, and ordering her death by burning for sorcery. As the sentence was being carried out, the woman cursed the colonel and concluded with, "So long shall my curse be upon thee, and my sign upon the tombstone." As the flames consumed her body, her legs fell off and rolled out of the fire. Her deformed son, rejected by the community, grabbed her leg, insulted the colonel, and then fled into the wilderness. The curse was forgotten until 60 years later, when this monument was erected and the leg appeared. Attempts to remove this leg have been futile. And there is her foot. You can certainly see the outline of a foot.
Yeah.
Once again, guys, this monument has been rebuilt 4 times by ancestors of Jonathan Buck. And 4 different times this foot has reappeared in that exact same shape and in that exact same place. We are now at stop number 2 here along our haunted Bucksport tour, and we are behind, or in front of, I should say, the historic seminary. The seminary itself is not haunted as far as we're aware, but behind me, behind the camera, is the actual Red Paint People Cemetery. And if you recall, in my Fort Knox vlog, I talked a little bit about the Red Paint People here in Maine. And the Red Paint People were indigenous people that were here actually long before the Native Americans. And some of their remains, or some of their remains of their houses and things like that, and dwellings, have been found during archaeological digs. Also, a lot of the burial grounds have been found during these archaeological digs, and the cemetery behind me is one such place. Called the Red Paint People because they used red ochre in their burying grounds, so they put that on top of the bodies. Strangely enough, a lot of the houses in the Bucksport area have wooden doorways that also have red paint on them. That is correct, guys. The red ochre paint that came from some of these burial grounds is on the doors of current day houses in Bucksport. So that could explain some of the creepiness here around town. All right, so in front of me, guys, is our next stop, and it is the Jed Prouty House. Now, this started as a 2-story home in the 1780s and has since become a historical landmark. In its history, it was actually around before the town of Bucksport was even named Bucksport. It was a single stagecoach stop and inn in the 1800s and was visited many times by many prominent people, such as Andrew Jackson, Daniel Webster, and Martin Van Buren. Many reasons why high-profile people visited this inn right here was because it was actually an inn that also had ladies of the night. That's right, guys, you could get your kicks right here at the Jed Prouty's house. Also, is before Prohibition, and that's right, they got away with serving alcohol probably out of the basement. So they were doing some quite illegal things over here in this house, and some ladies of the night still exist and haunt the place to this day. Speaking of which, some of the ladies of the night actually still live there. It's a senior living assistant now. So there you go, haunted house and senior living. So the next stop is going to be the former paper mill here in Bucksport, and that is haunted because, go figure, they decided they were going to build this paper mill right on top of another ancient Red People burial ground. So yeah, put it right on top of a bunch of dead people. Not a good idea. Of course it's going to be haunted, so we'll tell you a little bit more about it when we get down there. So guys, Bucksport does have a nice little waterfront path here that runs the entire length of the waterfront here in town, and actually stops right at the mill that we're going to here, but there's a few little inns along the walk and a nice little harbor here as well. So we've reached the end of the walkway here, guys, and you can see the what remains of the paper mill here in the distance. This paper mill originally opened in 1930 and operated all the way until 2014 when it did close down. And that is important because it is actually, once again, on the site of the Red Paint People Burial Ground. That's right, this area was excavated before the paper mill was built, and it was found to have lots of red paint areas and lots of artifacts from way back when. The red paint people actually date back almost 6,000 years is what was discovered during some of the archaeological digs that were in the area. So yeah, this building did sit, or does sit I should say, on top of a red paint people burial ground. And the mill itself is a little bit haunted as well. There was many different accidents here back in the day. It did catch fire at least once or twice. Was rebuilt a couple times. Also had some seedy things going on inside the paper mill as well. Rumor has it, once again, some ladies of the night activity and some alcohol and some other good stuff. But yeah, so it is on a haunted site as well, in one of the more haunted areas here in Bucksport. All right, guys, so if things weren't already spooky enough here in Bucksport, we have a storm clouds a brewing here behind us. Just heard some rumbles of thunder. The wind's picking up a little bit, so things are going to get even creepier here in a few minutes. We are off to Silver Lake, and that's actually a man-made lake that was made for this Bucksport mill right behind us. And it was made, once again, over a burial ground. So rumor has it that some of the bodies were dug up to make room for the lake, and some of them were actually not dug up, so they're still under the lake. All right, so we'll take you over there here in just a minute and hopefully avoid the storm that's behind us. So we have made our way over here to the Silver Lake Cemetery, and this is important because a lot of the bodies that they dug up to create Silver Lake, which was for the Bucksport mill, a lot of the bodies found their ways way up here, I should say, and this is where their remains were buried. So they were actually buried under where the lake is now, moved up to here. So that's why this cemetery is supposedly very haunted. Another thing that happened in this area was the murder of Sarah Ware, and her remains were also found in this area. And her remains, I say, were actually found in two different spots in this area. Her head was in one spot and her body in another, so that's a little disturbing. This is the walkway down to the man-made lake, and this is whereabouts Sarah Ware's remains were found, and that was way back in 1898. This is one of the more gruesome ghost stories and murder stories here of Bucksport history. Basically, she was a divorced woman who vanished from the busiest part of Bucksport one evening back in 1898. She was a generous mother and an outgoing woman, and for the time, she was the topic of gossip in town. Apparently, she was friendly with lots of the locals, we'll say. Anyway, it is no surprise that she went missing based on some of the rumors that were about men scorned, we'll say. Her body was found 2 weeks after her disappearance, and it was a whole body except that the head was missing. The head was actually found about a half a mile away in this very area. So this lake right here, guys, is actually extremely shallow. It's only about 3 to 4 feet deep in its deepest spot. You can actually wade out pretty much the middle of the lake. I'm not sure you'd want to, though, because once again, this was made for the paper mill, so God only knows what might be living in the bottom of this lake, or what is actually dead in the bottom of this lake. Remember, this was actually a burial ground, and bodies were actually removed from this spot and put at the top of the hill in the cemetery that you just saw. All right, guys, as you can see, the storm hasn't hit yet, but it's certainly getting closer. We are going to go off now to Winterport, Maine, which is just a short drive here from Bucksport, because that actually is where the remains, or so they think, of Sarah Ware is buried. They are actually not positive there, but there is a gravestone with her name on it apparently there, so they think that's at least where part of her might be buried. And the rest of her could still be out in the woods over there somewhere. Lots of hauntings here, lots of ghost stories about seeing Sarah Ware wandering in the evenings and during the days as well through this cemetery, guys. So we haven't seen her yet today, and I don't really want to, but we are going to go try to find her gravesite. All right, guys, we've made our way over to the Oak Hill Cemetery now in Winterport. And once again, this is where the remains of Sarah Ware is buried, along with the rest of her family. That murder was never actually solved, so we're not sure what happened to Sarah Ware. Well, we know what happened, unfortunately. She was beheaded and left in the middle of the woods, but we don't know who it was. It is a mystery that has gone unsolved now for almost over 100 years. plot with the last name of Ware. We didn't find any gravestones with the name Sarah on it though, but we're going to assume that might have been the plot. So we're going to take one last swing by that plot and wrap this vlog up, because it's actually starting to rain a little bit here. So we'll take you to that area and then say goodnight and goodbye. So behind me is some gravestones here that say Ware on them. So we're going to assume that is Sarah Ware's. I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. I might have to hold my hand out here a little bit. There we go. We'll have Simone hold her hand out there. So yeah, we're gonna wrap things up here, guys. It is starting to rain and the storms have started to come in here. So kind of an eerie end to an eerie day. So it's been a fun one, but been kind of spooky. So Maine's most haunted town, Bucksport, Maine. Glad you guys could join us. Until next time, Simone.
Have a good time.
Have a good time. See you later, guys.